A Thread of Magic, Part 2. The fifth model walked in, and nothing happened. However, the gowns were, well, maybe not terrible, but bland, boring, uninteresting. The models, unattractive. All of this seemed a rip-off of something else, unoriginal. Was this supposed to be this creative Warsaw fashion scene? Hugo found himself increasingly bored, jaded, drowsy. Aren't they just beautiful? And the gowns are so spectacular, Zoe whispered with her usual excitement. Adelaide is really going to make a splash with this collection. What are you talking about? They're bland, terrible, tasteless. Zoe looked at him as if he had fallen on his head. Are you all right? They're exactly what you like. What got into you? The last question strangely echoed in his head, like a slap in the face. What got into me? The sixth model walked in, and she really looked spectacular. Hugo couldn't take his eyes off her. This is the worst dress I have ever seen. He knew he had to act quickly. Please hold my hand. What's going on? It's the tampered champagne. Did you drink it? Oh, I finally didn't with Jean-Claude and all this excitement. I thought so. Hold my hand. I must neutralize this spell inside my veins. I need a hook in reality. Whatever happens, don't let it go. Oh, I don't understand anything, but sure. She held his hand, fast and strong. He could go inside. His consciousness accessed a different molecular plane and entered his veins to look for the molecules of spell that was floating inside him like a virus. For support, he visualized a stream of light from above, voicelessly encountering help from the heavens for purity and clarity. He had to overpower that spell, so he needed to uncork his normal self in Zeus' hand, stay there, gather his power, create the spell, and then flush his veins with it. The other spell resisted, pushing back against his magic. Not only he had to use some of his energy to create the spell, but also had to counteract the malicious one. It was an illegal, vicious spell aimed at subtly modifying human perception, opinions, feelings. Vicious as, upon entering a human body, it dispersed itself into little pieces, and as such was hardly traceable, except for a highly skilled wizard, and you had to basically operate on a quantum level and ensure a cooperation from the quantum field to get rid of all the molecules. And operating directly on a quantum level is incredibly energy-consuming. And it was evening, he was tired, and the Nazi erasing spells weakened him. He began to pray for a little more power to overcome the vicious spell. He just needed to stay on this side of his consciousness, just a little. Plus, the flower magic from the opening was distracting him. Just stay fucking focused, Zeus' hand. The eerie song of the flowers were getting stronger, like a siren song. Zeus' hand was the rope tying him to the mast. A few moments more. He already felt the spell purging out of his body. Just a few moments more. Zeus' hand. Golden light. God. Focus. Purging. Going down. Good. Stay strong. Zoe held his hand more firmly. Good girl. Silence. Quantum field silence. He opened his eyes. It's done. Are you all right? Zoe was still holding his hand. I have to go to the bathroom. If anything begins to happen, think very intensely about me. I will know. So he left, drawing attention, but he didn't care. He needed a physical purge to remove the material residue of the spell. It was very unpleasant, but he finally felt pure. He had a slight headache, but he knew it would pass in a few minutes. But the worst thing was, he knew it was not the end. To save this show, he somehow had to purify the minds of all the attendees, and it was barely possible. This show was doomed. Everybody was already hating it, even if they loved it. Rage surged through Hugo at the thought of the person who had resorted to this kind of spellcasting. Beside the fact that it was illegal, Hugo vehemently opposed any form of mind-altering magic on ethical grounds, as it was encroaching on personal freedom. There's no fucking way I'm letting them get away with this. Saving this show, though, was a breakneck enterprise. He had to act quickly. He took out his phone and messaged Zu. She appeared after a while. "What the fuck is going on?" she asked, emerging from the auditorium. The champagne had a perception-altering spell. People are hating this show in spite of themselves. Who the fuck could do it? No idea. We'll get to that later. Now we need to stop it and wait until it subsides. How long? Half an hour, at least. But with some people it might even take 1 or 2 hours. We must change the dresses into something they can easily hate without thinking of Adelaide's collection. Power outage? It's easy to hate the darkness. Then there's nothing else to hate. That sounds totally crazy, but we can spin it as sabotage story or something like that. Plus, this is an old building, many possibilities. Oh god, you're so brilliant. And it would win us some time. Go find Adelaide, her PR manager, and the MC. We need to let them in on what's going on. Tell them to stop the models from going out onto the catwalk. Let the MC spin the pose as part of the show. The audience absolutely cannot see anything else. I'll handle the power outage. Plus, we need to immediately replace this shit with something else to drink. When you find them, can you coordinate a swift delivery of good champagne? She nodded and rushed off backstage. Hugo quickly sent a message and went off to look for the power box. But how do you do a power outage without any technician around? Hugo was exhausted from the purge spell, but a bit of invisibility spell could still work, if need be. He had no time to look for the power box, so he focused deeply, contacted the source, visualized the target, and asked to be led the right way. A bit more magic energy used, but there really was no time. He heard the music fading and the MC starting to spin some silly story. At least they managed to stop the models. Ada must really trust Zu to go along with the story that must have seemed nonsensical to her. But good. We have a bit more time. Maybe we can save the rest of the dresses. Off he went, letting the intuition guide him. He finally found the power box, opened it, and looked at the labels. Okay, maybe there's no need to do the outage for the entire building. There was a label that said Auditorium. He gathered a bit of blocking spell in his fingers and directed it at the auditorium switch. Nobody, when they investigated later, will know the switch was turned off on purpose. He heard a brief crackling sound and left. Back at the foyer, Zu and the rest were already there. Adelaide was sobbing. Hugo, did you do it? Yes, auditorium only. This should make it easier for us to operate here. Did you manage to order the champagne? Yes, it's on its way. And who are you exactly, sir? Asked the PR manager. Hugo Czartoryski, wizard, historian, and magical consultant. I know this sounds rather absurd, but trust me, Zu and I are doing everything to save this show. It was going so well, and now you destroyed it. That's only how it looks, but the champagne was really tampered with. Right now, everybody is hating the collection. We need your input on how we can spin the entire situation, wait for the spell to fade out, and make people watch the show again with clean perception and love the rest of the dresses. Ada, how many dresses do you have left? 20? Is this enough to show us an entire collection? That's not a lot, we already showed 10. Can you quickly redo the first 10 in some way? I mean, add a shawl, drape something over, whatever. We can try. I have a few seamstresses here. How much time do we have? At least half an hour. Oh, and tell the MC to play some music. Redo the flower illusion, whatever. Let him tell some idiotic story about troubles in the fairy realm or something. She nodded and went off. Now, how do we spin it so that people stay here and we watch the show? Hugo asked the PR manager. Oh god, that's tough. Can we do it the thrilling way? Tell people about the sabotage, rally them to support the young Polish fashion industry, ask them to wait, drink more champagne, eat the tartine. Well, that's risky, but if it worked well, it could work really well. People would feel they are part of something important, of an adventure really, Zhu added. On the other hand, it's highly tricky legally. If we spread the rumors about sabotage and there has been no sabotage, but there has been sabotage, the champagne proves it. But we are not sure if we want to spread the news. I'd prefer a quieter approach. Okay, so let's spin the story about how old buildings have souls and a life of their own, and this one is the case in point. A haunted manor or whatever. So the electricity failed, Zhu posited. Let's make the models stand with candles to show the way out. Yeah, but if the spell put them in a bad mood, they will simply want them to leave, said the PR manager. She's right. The spell needs at least half an hour more to start wearing off. Let's keep people there for about 15 minutes with models walking around with candles. Let the MC spin this haunted manor story or whatever. After 15 minutes, they can start going out, Hugo said. Can we discreetly boost the mood somehow? Though you will probably tell me how unethical that is, Zhu said. You'll be surprised, my dear, but it's different in this case. I'm even waiting for someone to do this. He should be here any minute. As if on cue, he arrived. Hugo, my friend, what can I do for you? A loud voice roared in the distance. Oh, Artem, I'm so glad you're here. They hugged each other. Artem was a Ukrainian wizard and Hugo's friend. Look, I need your help. My energy is depleted and we need to boost the moods of about 100 people here. No problem, but that doesn't sound exactly legal, does it? He asked, but with a twinkle in his eye. Artem was the guy you could count on when you needed to operate in the, let's say, the grey area. He loved it and found it fun. Hugo explained the situation to him. Then he turned to Zhu and the rest. All right, so in 10 minutes we are letting people into the foyer. Let the models stand in line with candles to point the way towards the door. Let them leave one by one through one entrance only. Artem will be standing by the exit and will perform an invisible spell. It won't be a very strong spell, we need it for 100 people, but it should be enough to make them stay. And then what? Asked Zhu. Now, you must come up with something to entertain them with. I don't know, selfie time, interviews. I leave that to you. Maybe you could talk to a few of the most influential ones. Your charm will sway them to stay. Oh, with her you don't need my spells, added Artem, looking at Zhu. I won't take any chances. By the way, can someone finally get rid of this champagne and close it somewhere? We'll need to investigate it further at a later time, Hugo asked. Ada, you should also give a speech. Improvise something about thinking on your feet, being flexible, the startup way, we are creative, and encourage them to post selfies. Can we conjure some kind of illusion for an attractive selfie stand? The PR manager asked. Illusions are tough to sustain. Artem? Oh, I'm not great at illusions. I'm not that imaginative. Okay, I will need a bit of your power then. Let's do a combination spell. Ada, I need a vision from you. It's your show after all. Grab Artem's hand, come up with whatever you want for that stand. Artem will take it, amplify it with his power, and I'll create the illusion. Thank you so much for saving my show, Ada said. You'll thank me later, I haven't saved it yet. But we must try. I won't let some big bullies from abroad jeopardize it. Zhu smiled. That was the Hugo she loved as a friend. Then they created the most charming, enchanting stand ever. The kind that Instagram influencers would be dying to photograph. And that's what they were hoping for, that they would really, really want to die for it. Forget about the collection and want nothing more than to have the most glamorous selfie ever. It was pure magic. Adelaide almost had tears in her eyes. Zoe took charge and went backstage to tell everybody what to do. Autumn stood by the door ready. People started to file out. Everything went smoothly, even if people were really disgruntled and complaining. But after Autumn's work and seeing the selfie stand, they gasped and began to get under a very different kind of spell. And yet Hugo couldn't stop thinking that it wasn't quite yet over. He watched people go out for a bit, and then he suddenly realized that in all that madness he didn't have the time to examine the tampered champagne. Who could tamper with it? He asked himself. It must have happened before the event. You can't just magically tamper with 50 bottles unnoticed. He went to the room, only to find an unexpected visitor. Mr. Jean-Claude? Yes, do I know you? I'm friends with Zoe. She talked to you before the show. Rather, I should be the one asking you. What are you doing here? And who are you to ask me that question in such an impertinent manner? Hugo Czartoryski, historian and security consultant. I've been hired to watch over the event. No, you weren't. You seem competent, even if rude and arrogant, and this fashion show doesn't look like it's been taken care of by competent people. Let me guess, you came here to examine this champagne, which had obviously been magically tampered with. Now, that came as a surprise. The man in pink stripes is a wizard? Yes, I am a wizard. I don't work as one, as I find it utterly boring. Moreover, I keep quite a narrow set of skills which come in handy sometimes, but altogether, my current line of work is far more sexy and interesting. Hugo couldn't help but like this guy, despite the pink stripes. And which line of work is that exactly? Ah, you've heard the rumors. People have the wildest imagination sometimes. Why are you really here? I think the more important matter right now is how to prevent anything else that can destroy this show. Yes, I really am a champion for these young fledgling fashion brands. You see, in my line of work, you see so much that anything fresh and energetic is far more interesting than the big stale behemoths. Hugo smiled. Now, to assure you, there is not even a trace of a French person's signature in the spells. Of course, someone tried to erase the signature after tampering with the champagne, but even with what remains, I can feel it has no French or Italian origin, or anything I can recognize. And as Eastern countries are the ones I'm least familiar with, I'd say you should look east for the real perpetrator. Not bad. I'm an excellent signature tracker. That's why they wanted me to be a hunting dog at the Interpol, not very sexy. I turned down the offer. East. I need Autumn. A moment later, he appeared at the door. Uplifting the moods of those people was exhausting. I'm going to bed, she said. I need you to do one more thing. He introduced Autumn to Jean-Claude and then explained the situation. Oh, I'm not a great signature tracker, but I surely know the East well. Of course, we can easily suspect the result. Yeah, I guess, Hugo thought. Autumn opened one of the bottles, put his hands over it, and focused his mental energy for a few moments. Yeah, a lot has been erased. I can't pinpoint a specific person, obviously, but I can say for sure it's Russian. Of course it is. That would explain it, said Jean-Claude partly to himself. Explain what? At first, I didn't really think much of it. I thought maybe it's some political refugee, but when I was going to the bathroom, I lost my way and went somewhere else. For a moment, I heard someone cursing in a language that might have been Russian. Hugo and Autumn exchanged looks. Oh fuck. This is far from over.